Hello? What is up? Not great. How strange.
Alright, I just finished watching Down to Earth, which I thought was a pretty creative comedy that had a really sort of interesting twist on what you would expect in a classic sitcom conceit, especially the modern version, The Office, Parks and Rec, documentary style conceit. I thought this was very clever because of how weird it was and how comfortable it was being as strange as possible. I thought it carried the bit with the alien and lizard people in a way that sort of was more clever than you might have initially assumed, and it had a really interesting way of sort of using peculiar dynamics, weird dynamics to create a sort of wholesome sense of humor that ended up working in balance. I really thought the performances were really great, especially given the grounded aesthetic, and I thought that each character had time to sort of be their own self and give you a glimpse of their personality that contributed to the overall piece. So I thought that the acting was really well done, and the music as well was a really great mix to match the style and sort of the quirkiness and the weirdness of the overall piece that made it a pretty memorable and an interesting sort of take on what you would consider to be a classic network TV construct. So I enjoyed it, and I thought it was well done, and it was a good piece.
Down to Earth, you have this reptilian POV, and you're using CGI for the reptilian face, and you have like heavy banter between the characters. This is heavy on the dialogue. This film gives me sort of the feeling of The Office, but in space, with interview style, interchange with dialogue, heavy scenes with sarcastic humor. Some things that I noticed that were, stood out to me. I like the aspect of having the human mask face and using the reptilian hand to kind of play on the fact that we don't have to use CGI all the time to represent this. But what made me curious was, is this one actor playing all the characters? The voice changes a bit, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's a voice actor playing, or maybe this is this actor changing his voice. But I got the sense that this is one actor playing all of these characters, which when you're playing against yourself, I mean, the greats have done it. You have Eddie Murphy playing against himself, in several movies, Robin Williams playing against himself. It's a skill. And there was moments where I was just like, he's playing against himself, because I'm noticing the lack of the flow with the characters. And a lot of that comes from like an editing perspective, because you're playing opposite of someone that's not there. But it took a while before I realized that it was just something that was in the back of my mind. I'm like, it's the same guy playing all these characters. And it kind of caught me, which I think is really where the talent lies, because it's not something that's jarring from the moment you put it on. It's just something that if you sit with it for a while, you kind of realize. And you also notice that it's rare to see both characters in one scene at once, which, that takes such skill to kind of put all of that together, to play that many characters, with, I'm sure, not the Hollywood budget that, Eddie Murphy would have to achieve the same thing.
All right, well, this is a really fun piece. I like, that they're blending sci-fi and comedy. It's, ambitious and really to good effect that they are having alien creatures in here that are involving CGI and stuff, and having, the lizard head and the little gray alien. That's a nice addition, and also just very ambitious, as I said. Yeah, the performances were all good. Everybody was crazy, wacky, zany. It was a nice script. It was a really good idea overall, and as I said, episode 1, so it's nice to see that it's a series and it's going to keep going. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, no, good idea, good pacing. All around, just a really nice piece. So yeah, I hope the other episodes come together well too. So good luck with this. I hope it gets out there and gets seen.
Down to Earth was really fun. It was really interesting. I think you did a great job introducing all the characters and making their dynamics known and natural throughout this piece, since it is a first episode to many more. I think it's a fun idea. I think it had great pacing throughout, and I think the characters were really naturalistic and and silly and fun. I think there are a couple issues with lighting and sound at certain points that you can fix moving forward. But overall, I think it's a really dynamic piece. I think there were a lot of really ambitious shots in it, and I think for the most part they worked out. There are just these few technical moments that you can go back and see the difference with some lighting issues, but and some audio issues as well. But those can be fixed so easily. Yeah, super excited to know that there's going to be more to this. Really well done.
I just got finished watching Down to Earth, and this was really interesting. It had a very funny ending, but I think that there were a lot of technical issues kind of throughout the filming process. The lighting at the very beginning, especially for one of the main guys, V, his lighting was very dark compared to everybody else's, and there was some sound issues with that too, where a lot of your other actors were coming through sound-wise very clearly, and they were lit really beautifully and you could see it. But every time we got to V's scenes, it was very dark, and it kind of sounded like he was, 10 feet away from where the microphones were. I think that the filmmakers, though, did a fantastic job with all of the special effects. Like all of those special effects with the aliens, it was very, very believable. And I loved the sets. I loved what they did with like the color and stuff like that. So yeah, this was a really interesting film.
Aliens meets a fiction reality show. It reminds me of What We Do in the Shadows, but with aliens. This is a pilot episode. 3 aliens live together in need of plutonium. I love the character Roswell, as he's also in the traditional alien skin, and it's a nod to Roswell, the capital of alien discoveries. V's costume is quirky, colorful, and out of this world. It shows that he doesn't necessarily belong in this galaxy. That and drinking coffee from his nose, amongst of other humorous things along the way. I also have to agree with the visual effects add on to the humor, and I really love the dynamics that flow within this piece. There's a lot happening, there's a lot going on, but the jokes hop from one to the next, and it's great.
This was delightful. Certainly got a lot of charm and a lot of character. There's definitely some good moments in there. Some good mix of practical, special, and visual effects. There's a lot going on. It's a very big undertaking, I'm sure. It looks like Max Sternlicht, I believe, is wearing many hats, and that's not an easy task. So, I mean, yeah, tip of the hat in that regard. Again, it seems like a very big undertaking, probably done with little budget. So, you have to admire that. All in all, I thought it was an interesting film. Definitely not something I can compare to anything I've seen lately. So it's unique in that regard as well. I hope it works out for Mr. Sternlight and everyone involved in this, because again, looks like a lot of hard work went into it.